Many of us outside Afghanistan were astonished by the speed with which the Taliban took effective control of much of Afghanistan. They more or less overran Kabul while coalition forces were still in the capital city and were able to declare their self-styled Islamic Emirate within a week. I invite you to correct me if I'm mistaken, but my sense is that this was due less to the strength of the Taliban and more due to the weakness of the institutions that governed Afghanistan in the interregnum between Taliban rule. My own experience with the governments of President Hamid Karzai and President Ashraf Ghani is that though they were democratically elected, they also had an undemocratic impulse to centralize power in a way that was unsustainable in a regional multi-ethnic country like Afghanistan. And worse, if I may be blunt, they were implicated in monumental levels of corruption. So if the National Resistance Front is to be successful in rallying the nation together to oust the Taliban, can it offer Afghans an alternative government that would earn their confidence? And in particular, how do you think the NRF can succeed where others have failed in building a government that would be inclusive of all ethnic groups, that would reject centralized authoritarianism, and that would not replace religious fundamentalism with a kind of kleptocracy where money is the god of a national idolatry?
Yes. So in the beginning, when I stated our vision for the future of the country, I said we need a reformed democracy. We need decentralization. We need to adopt political and cultural pluralism in a diverse country like Afghanistan. And one of the main factors that led up to the collapse of Afghanistan's democracy and republic was the mistakes that were made from 2001 to 2005. That in a highly diverse country, and in a country that basically is as rugged as Afghanistan, where you have isolated areas in the country not connected to Kabul by road, having a highly centralized government was basically the formula for disaster in Afghanistan. What happened is the constitution that was drafted and that was adopted in 2004 and 2005, it created a highly centralized presidential system where the president was the only decision maker in the system. The president made decisions for Kabul, the capital city. He made decisions for the most remote village in the country. A school had to be built in a remote village, hundreds of kilometers away from Kabul. The president had to sign a decree allowing the school to be built, and many other matters. And what this led up to was people becoming marginalized from power. This is why we were part of the political opposition. The leader of the NRF, Commander Ahmad Massoud, myself, and other people in key positions, we were part of the opposition in the past 20 years because we knew that the democracy that was being supported by the West, that was in place inside Afghanistan, was doomed to fail. And this is why we were demanding decentralization of power in the country. So the people could see themselves part of decision making, policy making, and power structure of the country. Basically, the constitution disregarded all of this and created a king-like president that made all decisions. And we saw on August 15th, as Ashraf Ghani fled the country, the whole system collapsed like a house of cards. So the first mistake was the highly centralized political system that was adopted in the 2001 to 2005 era, the first period of the past 20 years. Second was in 2014, bringing Ashraf Ghani as president was a great mistake. The actual disintegration of Afghanistan's state as Afghanistan's government started in 2014. In 2014, we had a controversial presidential election, and there was industrial scale fraud that was committed by Ashraf Ghani's electoral team. And this is something that was investigated, and you have UN reports, EU reports, and even US reports showing that, yes, massive fraud that happened in favor of Ashraf Ghani. Ashraf Ghani, who lacked popular support, who lacked any power base inside the country, who had a exclusionary vision for Afghanistan only for one ethnic group. He came to power, and we saw in 2014 the Taliban didn't rule any districts, was still a small fighting force. They were only in some parts of southern Afghanistan and eastern Afghanistan in 2014. Yet, in 2015, just a year after Ashraf Ghani became president, the Taliban were able to take over a whole city, Kunduz city in the north. So the disintegration of the government started in 2014. The third mistake that was made was the negotiation and the peace, not peace, but the negotiation and the political agreement signed between the Taliban and the United States that started in 2018 with the start of the negotiations and ended with the signing of the agreement in February 2020. This accelerated the disintegration of the republic in Afghanistan. And this was basically the United States legitimizing the Taliban, giving them the hubris that they need, giving them the reason to bypass Afghanistan's government. And we did warn many of the negotiators, many of the US officials back then, that this strategy is flawed. If the United States wants to withdraw, they should withdraw without an agreement. Why reach an agreement with the Taliban when you can't just withdraw? So giving them that legitimacy also caused the collapse of Afghanistan government. And lastly, the final nail to this coffin was the decision of President Biden in April 2021 when he announced the withdrawal. In the beginning, we said if the US is going to withdraw, we respect that decision, but they should take our considerations, our recommendations into consideration. The way the withdrawal happened in 2021 was disastrous. First, what we recommended, what we suggested was if a withdrawal is going to happen in 2021, it shouldn't happen in the beginning of the fighting season. It should start happening by the end of the fighting season, because what happened is that when it started in the beginning of the fighting season in spring, it allowed the Taliban had the ability to maneuver throughout the country, to bring recruits from the other side of the border from Pakistan. They had the ability to fill in the vacuum that was created in all four corners of the country. And it was overwhelming for Afghanistan's armed forces. However, if it happened in the later parts of the fighting season, meaning in late summer and ended either in late fall or beginning of winter, it would have given Afghanistan's government enough time to recruit, to reinforce, and to start filling those vacuums without losing control.